You watched last year. You watched this team into the latter stages of the season be in first place in the NFC West, be 6-4 heading into their bye week. They were this close to hosting a home playoff game. Why would I even question a rebuild? Why would I even utter the words rebuild when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals? Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN.com looked at all 32 teams and put them in tiers. And I love when people put teams in buckets and tiers, and I'm able to see where the Cardinals sit in comparison to other teams and see what the national narrative is about a team. And so the story was about overhaul tiers. Who is contending and who is rebuilding in 2025? And so you had different tiers. You had still the major contenders. You had the on the cusp, the need a postseason breakthrough. And again, all through the vision of, are these teams still contending? Are they rebuilding? Are they trending towards a rebuild? Where are they? Well, the Arizona Cardinals were put in a bucket that was titled, their tier was called, "This Could Go Either Way." And when you frame it in that way, when you frame it as they could fall towards the side of being a contender if they make the right moves, but if they don't, there are questions about Kyler Murray. And then if you are back in the quarterback market, if you have to play that circus, then you're closer to a rebuild. And so to say that this could go either way is basically saying it could be a coin toss. Do we feel like the future of the Arizona Cardinals is about a 50-50? Do we feel as it is a coin toss to what their future holds? Does it feel like it is that on the edge? Team went 6-4 last year before the bye week. In first place in the division. Controlled their own fate in the second half. Didn't perform all that well. And now we enter an offseason where they have the fewest draft picks that they have had since Monty Ossenford has taken over. They have a plethora of cap space. They have around $60 or $70 million, give or take. That number might fall as the offseason, as we get closer to free agency beginning. And they don't have a lot of big money contracts. Kyler's under contract. He's not getting paid what Dak Prescott's getting paid or what Joe Burrow's getting paid or what any of these guys are getting paid, right? And then what Brock Purdy's about to get paid this offseason, not in that tier. You've got a pretty nice deal, at least comparatively to the rest of the league. So is it a coin toss? And I think when you look at it through the lens of, if this team doesn't make it this year, if this team doesn't break through this year, are we not having a quarterback conversation next offseason? Are we not debating the merits of moving on from Kyler Murray if another year passes? Picture it for just a second. It's February 12th, 2026. Producer Dylan, I need you to check to make sure that's a day of the week in which we are on the air, or else this whole thing comes crashing down. But until you correct me, I'll just assume that we would be on the air on February 12th, 2026. It's February 12th, 2026. We are talking about an Arizona Cardinals team that once again didn't play well in the second half of the year. We are once again talking about a team and a quarterback that in December and January, or in November and December, however you want to look at it, didn't come through in the big moments. Failed against teams in the division that you have to beat. Failed against teams that you're supposed to beat late in the season. And missed the playoffs once again. Picture it. It's not a hard picture to envision. It's kind of been Kyler Murray's career here in Phoenix. If we get another year down the road and there isn't a chance of redemption for what happened in the wild card round against the Rams, and this team isn't in the playoffs, aren't we having, it's different, but aren't we having the Kevin Durant conversation that the Suns are going to have this summer? Aren't we having that same conversation with Kyler Murray? This isn't working. running it back would be foolish for what would be a 7th year at that point. This GM, this head coach didn't draft Kyler Murray. This GM, this head coach didn't give Kyler Murray the extension, but he was given all of the wiggle room to learn the offense, to try to thrive in the offense, to try to take this team to the playoffs, to try to make them relevant. If we are having this conversation again next summer or next February, then the Arizona Cardinals are closer to a rebuild than they are to playoff contention, because they will reset at the most important position on the field. They will have a glaring hole at the most important of the 5 pillars: quarterback, left tackle, wide receiver, corner, edge. The 5 pillars of building a winner in the NFL. And the Arizona Cardinals, if they miss the playoffs again next year, will probably have to reset at the most important pillar. And so through that lens, through that framework, doesn't it feel, and I know earlier in the week I said Monty Ossenfort has to be given the time to operate. I still believe in that. I believe that Monty needs to be given, and more general managers in the NFL need to be given, Howie Roseman type of a runway to see the team through different life cycles, to see a team through different iterations. I believe Monty deserves that opportunity. I believe Monty deserves the opportunity to draft and develop his own quarterback, if that's where we are next offseason. I believe Monty Ossenfort should be given the opportunity that if he wants to move on from Kyler Murray and trade for somebody else, he should be given the opportunity to see that through. And if that doesn't work, well, then you made the mistake of holding on to Kyler for too long. You made the mistake in your next chance to get the quarterback situation right. So you went 0 for 2. I'll give you 2 chances. I think more general managers and more organizations need to get more than one swing at the quarterback side of this. It's really hard to find a franchise quarterback. But it's not that far off for us to be having that conversation next February. So if that's the case, yeah, I'd agree that this could go either way. And that's what makes this offseason so important. Why do you think we're talking so much about T. Higgins? Why do you think we're talking so much about you can't have your top edge guy be the guy you draft at 16? You can't leave it up to chance of the way the draft board falls to you. Why is Josh Sweat's name coming up so much in conversation? Why are people saying Khalil Mack might be available? Myles Garrett requested a trade. Why is all of that coming up over and over and over again? Because most of us realize that if this team doesn't make the playoffs next year, there's going to be a new quarterback. I'm not ready to say there'll be a new coach or a new GM. I think those guys deserve one more swing at this. But if this team doesn't make the playoffs, there will be a new quarterback here next year. The 2026 season will have a new man under center for this team. And so this offseason is so important. It might be last chance saloon for Kyler Murray. It is put up or shut up time. Work needs to be done in the front office, but you got your left tackle. They drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. You've got a running back in James Conner. You're going to add the pieces on defense that you need to add this offseason, but it is go time. And so I think we all got, and rightfully so, intoxicated by what we saw through the first 10 weeks of the season, where we had a team in first place that we were dreaming of hosting a playoff game, and we were dreaming of the redemption storyline for Kyler Murray. We were dreaming of it. This team back into the postseason, Kyler Murray leading the charge, and it would confirm everything. It would confirm why everybody loves Monty Ossenfort. It would confirm why everybody thinks Jonathan Gannon's the right guy for the job, and it would confirm that it was the right decision to stick with Kyler Murray. We are still waiting for the moment to have that confirmation. So it does feel a little bit like this is teetering on the edge. To use the tier description from Jeremy Fowler, it could go either way. Could I see a world where this team plays like they did last year, but actually follows through and makes the playoffs? Absolutely. I think the GM is going to be eager to make those additions in the offseason. I think the quarterback is going to be eager to show everybody that he is a franchise quarterback. It's another year of Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a lot of reason to think that that could be how next season goes. But there's also a lot of proof on the other side of the scale that says we could very easily be in this situation again this offseason, next offseason, February of 2026. A very important offseason, the most important offseason of Monty Ossenfort's tenure, the most important offseason since Jonathan Gannon got here. It is the most important season for Kyler Murray. So the question I asked at the beginning, closer to playoff contention or closer to a rebuild? Truthfully, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know which side of that coin this team is closer to, because it could go either way. I want to believe in the coach. I want to believe in the GM, and I do to a large extent. I want to believe in Kyler Murray, but over and over and over again, he's given me reason to waver in that belief.